Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So today I am taking a look at another brand, and it's kind of downfall question mark in this case. And this is a brand that very closely relates to a topic that currently has the beauty community kind of questioning itself. You know, how useful are we? Is there an end to influencers? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. We're going to be discussing the decline of yet another influencer brand, Dragun Beauty. Now, I'm also going to be doing my makeup throughout. I'm not going to talk about what I'm using as I talk. It'll be listed down below. It's too distracting. It's too much for my mind. Now, just like my last video I did about the brand Lime Crime, I asked you over on Instagram what brands you think no one's buying anymore, what brands you don't buy anymore, and Dragun Beauty was another one that came back consistently, and you all had a lot of opinions about it. So let's dive in, but first please consider subscribing. Give this video a thumbs up. Do it right now. It really helps. Comment, even if it's just a thumbs up. Get that algorithm going. And if you like this kind of video, then comment down below a brand that you think has kind of gone out of style, let's say, recently. So a lot of you may know Dragun Beauty, a lot of you may not. Who, what, and why is Dragun Beauty? But for those who don't, let me fill you in very quickly. So Dragun Beauty is a makeup brand founded by Nikita Dragun, who is, or was, should I say, a beauty YouTuber. And she kind of got popular, you know, kind of at the time when all the like original beauty influencers were becoming popular. She shared a lot about her personal life, beauty tips, makeup, you know, the usual kind of like YouTuber thing. And she also shared her experiences as a transgender woman. She was very open about everything, very informative. And of course, as her online presence grew and her popularity, so did the dramas, so did all the influencer, you know, mistakes, all this kind of stuff.
I don't think I can like sit back and just let the black community and just everyone on the internet just say like, oh, how are you friends with this person when she blackfishes? I see in person almost all the time. You don't look like those pictures on the internet. Sometimes people just really be trolling. Sometimes it's just a lighting, and sometimes it's a filter. I get that. Like, people are genuinely offended by it. You probably don't feel like you're in the wrong, but you come off as ignorant.
Nikita Dragun has a history of taking hairstyles and enhancing her features to make herself seem like a whole different race from what she actually is. What Nikita is doing is known as blackfishing. Nikita has been accused of blackfishing for quite some time now.
Whether or not the wig is attractive on Nikita is not the issue here. The issue, as it always is cultural appropriating black culture.
This is what happens when you become a YouTuber so young. You make stupid choices. I mean, so do old YouTubers, but you know. So Dragun Beauty launched back in 2019, which seems like forever ago now, right? This is one of the teasers that was released as part of the launch. I want to take a look at this with you because it's
Nikita Dragun is probably the most extra bitch you'll ever meet in your whole life. She is full fantasy. She's a little extra. She's a little crazy, but she's also very down to earth. I became well known after I uploaded my I am transgender video. I had never even said I am transgender out loud to anybody, and I just spoke it aloud to the camera, and I guess the rest is history. Makeup is so important to me because I feel like I was able to find myself through it. I was able to transform myself at the time from a little boy into this glam diva, and it really helped me figure out who Dragun truly was. I wanted to create a trans-owned brand for trans people. I think that is so important and something that we really haven't seen. I feel like for me, when I was going through my transition, I was always looking and studying the face and how beauty was, and it was always how the light hit a woman or how the light hit someone. And you know, with all this glam and with everything, I've always been able to kind of transform myself, and I feel like we're all transforming in one way or another, whether you know you're going to be a businessman or a businesswoman, whether you're going to get that job, honey, whether it's physical, whether it's mental. I think whoever is living their most authentic life, to me, that is beautiful. I just want to say the biggest thank you to everyone. Without you guys, I would have never made this dream a reality, and I could not believe I'm at the point in my life where I get to be able to create my own fantasy and just live my fantasy, and I truly want to offer that to absolutely everyone. Of course, as always, don't forget, breathe fire, my dragons.
My favourite part of that has to be down to earth while throwing money everywhere. And there are some quite like exciting, not promises, but like things said in that video, like a trans-owned brand, beautiful products that work for everyone. She spoke to how, you know, lighting hits the face and how it can, you know, like feminize and masculinize? Sounds right. A face. Great, that's a great perspective to have on makeup, because it does, and we contour and highlight to change our features in certain ways. So it sounds like quite an exciting release, something that's never been done before. As she teased on her socials, right, she said this, I quote, "If you all think I'm dropping a basic as fuck eyeshadow palette or lipstick, think again. Wait on it. All will be revealed very soon." That sounds super exciting, right? This wasn't exactly a time when influencer brands were being released one by one and celebrity brands were being released every single week. So it was always kind of expected that your favorite influencer or an influencer would release a brand or a collaboration. And you know, a lot of people come out with the same thing, palettes, which I actually quite like. I don't think there's anything wrong. I would rather have a palette over anything else. So very exciting, very different, very something different. The first product Dragun Beauty released was the Dragon Fire color corrector, right? One of them. And it came in lavender, like this bright lavender, green, and orange. So color correctors, 3 color correctors. Which, to be honest, isn't very exciting. This was very much a time period when a lot of brands were releasing color correctors, because a lot of people's knowledge of makeup was becoming more than it had ever been before, thanks to, let's be real, online makeup trends and beauty influencers, because they were kind of like giving us their secrets, and you know, makeup artists made their way online and also started giving like makeup artistry secrets. So what wasn't basic knowledge before now very much had become basic makeup knowledge for a lot of people. But with that, a lot of misinformation came along. Also, for example, not everyone needs to color correct, not everyone needs those exact color correctors. I can count, right, on probably 2 hands, not including any of my transgender clients, how often I had used an pure orange color corrector in any depth of the orange. Not very often. However, when Nikita was talking about this color corrector, especially the orange, she did say that it was kind of created to help neutralize the appearance of beard shadows for transgender women. And that's a very common concern amongst transgender women also. And touching on that, you may be thinking, what's the need to create a separate product in terms of color corrector for transgender people versus just a regular color corrector, you know? And I think it's an amazing opportunity and a reason to create something unique in terms of formula. From my personal point of view, from my experience as a professional makeup artist, myself as someone who had many regular transgender clients, color correcting for trans women in terms of their makeup, for a lot of them, is a key part of the makeup process. And I have to be honest with you, but some of the color correcting formulas in terms of heavier creams or quite light fluids didn't work as well as they should have done or could have done, in terms of how smooth they were, in terms of how well they blended, but also in terms of how much product you had to use. A lot of the time you would color correct, neutralize that color correction, apply your foundation, and then do a little bit more work on the surface. And that leads to a lot of makeup, and in some cases, a lot of obvious texture on the skin. So I would have said back then, and maybe not even still now, there's a few better options now, but back then there's definitely a gap in the market for a color correcting formula that worked well with a majority of skin textures. So I never actually tried the color corrector. I never had a need for a color corrector personally on myself, and I'm gonna be real with you, Nikita Dragun wasn't a person I wanted to support with my money. But from watching people's reviews on these color correctors, the color corrector itself was quite matte and it dried down very, very quickly. Now listen, yes, you want a color corrector to dry down and be matte and you don't want it sliding everywhere, but you do need time to work with it. And it being dry, as we spoke about before, on certain skin textures, isn't so good, especially under the eyes as well. You don't want anything too dry under the eyes. The key to not creasing under the eyes most of the time is actually hydration. I will say though, the good thing about this color corrector is the shader for orange did lean towards more of a red orange rather than that yellow orange that some brands do. So, you know, we have this promise of, oh, it's not a basic eyeshadow palette, it's not something basic, it's something this. It's not necessarily exciting, right? It's a color corrector. Lots of brands are doing that at the time. Was it basic AF? Yes, to be honest, yes, it was. However, that wasn't the only kind of like questionable release. At the time, I was like, And this product kind of had everyone divided in terms of some people like, wow, revolutionary, and others were like, nah. And that was the DragunHeart Face Transforming Powder. Now, listen. Here's the deal. This was basically a powder duo, right? And it was in a very, I have to be honest, cheap looking thing. That was unnecessary to say. Personal opinion. And they were two like heart powder. And one was leaning more towards pink and one was like a light yellow. At first glance, the powders look very dusty. I think I described them as dusty in a video years and years and years ago. And too light and in general not universal. And yes, I may have described them as dusty and a little bit crusty, but that was an opinion amongst a lot of people also. We're allowed to have opinions, right? That's how come there's loads of makeup. Sometimes, though, it did look a bit ashy and dusty on some people. There also seemed to be some confusion on how to use this product. Let me just say, right, when I was researching a few things for this, I could not find anywhere, not in one place, I don't know if they've been deleted or something like that, the launch videos of these products from Nikita or the brand. I don't know where they are. There must be some. There has to be some, right? And I saw people using it, you know, around their eyes and on the top of their cheekbones, which makes sense because you're using it to lip. But then I've also seen people using it on their whole face as a setting powder. And that will absolutely lead to some ashiness, especially if a product is just intended to be like a lifting, brightening powder. Even on my skin tone, the pink or the yellow is gonna give me an ashy finish if I was to use it everywhere. In terms of being innovative as a product, perhaps 5-6 universal shades could have worked really, really well. 2 shades in a compact? Despite the kind of like rocky beginning, Dragun Beauty did go on to launch a good few more products. They had lip products, eyeshadows, highlighters, in like palettes. Oh wait, we have to talk about the egg. We'll touch on the egg later, but you actually can't buy anything anymore. The only place I found some Dragun Beauty products still available was Beauty Bay here in the UK, and I think it's in the US as well. But everything everywhere else is sold out, unavailable, currently sold out. You just can't buy it anywhere. Although this video is about, you know, the downfall of the brand, it was quite a successful brand in terms of money. The brand made millions. I want to read you this quote. This is from glossy.co, and it says, according to a source familiar with the brand, its revenue skyrocketed in the first 3 years, rising from 2 million in its first year to 5 million in its second, and then 25 million in its third. But in 2021, that number shrank to 1 million. Dragun's representative disputed these numbers but declined to share any additional details, citing confidentiality. The same website then goes on to quote, ultimately, Dragun Beauty was driving sales, not from Nikita, but in spite of her. Through traditional marketing strategies and omni-channel approaches, she kept pummeling the brand with crisis PR around her antics, which ultimately hurt our ability to scale with partners like Ulta Beauty and Urban Outfitters. So I've called this video Dragun Beauty doomed from the start, something like that. I haven't decided yet. Here's why I say that, right? And let's go on. This is all my personal opinion now. Dragun Beauty to me is merchandise. It is Nikita Dragun's merchandise. Here's why I say that, right? We have quite literally products with Nikita's face on. We have a dragon egg, which looks kind of Playtime-esque, and you know, that egg was filled with, let's be real, pretty unexciting products. So to look at these items visually and want to purchase them as somebody who isn't familiar with Nikita Dragun, the YouTube beauty influencer space, you have to either really, well, like eggs, or really have the need to want to color correct. A concept that isn't necessarily for everyone and isn't necessary for everyone, and not everyone wants or has the time to do every day. Or you'll be looking at these powders with no knowledge of what they are, what they do, and have to figure out, oh, is that gonna be okay on my skin tone? Why are there 2 and what does it do? I don't believe the quote that says Ultimately, Dragun Beauty was driving sales not from Nikita but in spite of her. Because then they later go on to say how Nikita's actions ultimately stopped them from partnering up with brands like Ulta and Urban Outfitters. Now, when I describe her makeup as merchandise, it means, this is a direct product of Nikita. Therefore, she loses fans. She loses sales. She makes poor decisions that affect her reputation. The brand's reputation goes down with her. Going into this brand, people wanting to sell it, she already had some drama under her belt. And it wasn't drama oh, she wasn't friends with this person. It was quite, it was bad. The likelihood that something else bad was going to happen, it's not a crazy assumption to then think that something bad may happen during the process of having this brand or after launching this brand. Why would it suddenly stop, You'll see from her socials as well that she hasn't posted on YouTube, mostly where her main audience came from originally, in almost 2 years. That's where a lot of her original fans would be. A lot of you may know, you may follow me here on YouTube, but you don't follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitch. That's fine, because this is your chosen platform. But if this is where I originated and I had a brand, this is where I would be. On YouTube, talking to you, talking about a brand, talking about new products. But also, you can't just start a brand and then disappear. Especially, again, it's your merchandise, pretty much. You need to be on it. Who's going to buy merch or makeup from somebody who pretty much no longer exists online and they aren't there to support anymore? So thinking about that, we're talking about online presence. Recently, Nikita has spoken out about her struggles with her mental health and how she was taking a step back from social media to kind of work on that, which is extremely important no matter what situation you are in. And according to sources, and just from looking online, Dragun Beauty does seem to be on a bit of hiatus for now, although there has been no kind of official, yeah, we're not doing business anymore from anyone. And she also recently started OnlyFans, which good for her. I support that. That's fine. If you've got, what it takes and you want to, do it. I do have a lot of opinions on influencer brands, and I don't categorize them all as the same thing. I think some are different from others. Some do really well, some don't. And I have opinions as to why. So if you would like me to do a video on that, then I would love to do that for you. Let me know below. So this wraps up today's video on Dragun Beauty. I hope you found that a little bit insightful. I would love to know your opinions, whether you agree or disagree with some things I had to say down below. Did you try Dragun Beauty? That's what I'll be interested to know. I would love to know your opinions. Do give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell just so you get notified when I release a video 3 times a week. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.